hearing called to discuss this question of climate change.
The evidence that the Earth is warming by an amount which is too large to be a chance fluctuation represents a very strong case, in my opinion, that the greenhouse effect has been detected and it is changing our climate now.
These impacts are no longer just projections on a NASA computer model. They are tonight's evening news.
And it's not just the US. Europe is heating up again with wildfires in France and temperatures set to soar over the weekend in Spain and Portugal. But Europe has seen record-breaking temperatures across the continent in June, and this weekend it's heating up yet again. France says it's recorded well over 2,000 excess deaths as a result of last month's blistering heat wave. And there have been intense wildfires now across the Mediterranean coast, with thousands of people already evacuated.
It's June 23rd, 1988, Washington, D.C. The man sitting at the microphone in this incredibly sweltering room is Dr. James Hansen. Now, he's the director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. He isn't a politician, he's a physicist. And he hasn't come to this room to debate policy. He is there to present a mathematical certainty, sitting in front of some of the most powerful lawmakers on the entire planet. He explained very clearly that this wasn't some natural cycle. Rather, the hard data showed it was being driven by human-created greenhouse gases. And with that one statement, the era of global warming had officially begun. A truly pivotal moment in time right now. A very specific warning that fundamentally changed the trajectory of human history, even if the world didn't quite realize it back then. We are going to trace the data, the timeline, and ultimately a generation's fight for the future. For literally thousands of years, the concentration of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere just hovered right around 280 parts per million. It was a deeply stable, consistent baseline. In 1988, that number had already climbed to 350 parts per million. And scientists universally agreed this 350 mark was the absolute upper limit of safety. Hansen's testimony wasn't just a speech. It was a clear, data-driven alarm bell saying, "Stop now, or the system breaks." But here is where the data takes a really sharp, heavy turn. Because instead of stopping, the engine accelerated. Human beings have actually emitted more greenhouse gases since that 1988 warning than in all of prior human history combined. The cover-up. How does a society look at definitive data showing its house is on fire and then consciously choose to pour gasoline on the floor? This wasn't an accident. It was a calculated, industry-funded strategy. It was drawn directly from historical precedent. Back in the 1950s, the tobacco industry began public relations campaigns designed specifically to hide the physical dangers of smoking. Fast forward to 1988, climate warning. Fossil fuel conglomerates hired the exact same public relations firms previously used by tobacco. They realized something crucial. They didn't actually need to prove the NASA scientists wrong. They just needed to manufacture doubt. The sources report that billions of dollars were spent to turn a simple physical reality into a heated political debate.
Some politicians want to label carbon dioxide a pollutant. Imagine if they succeed. What would our lives be like then? Carbon dioxide. They call it pollution. We call it life.
The primary goals were incredibly straightforward. Buy time and protect quarterly profits. Vast amounts of capital successfully delayed any structural action. The bill for all that manufactured doubt has arrived. And importantly, it's not being paid by the executives who funded the denial. It is being paid by the public. We are seeing once-in-a-century weather events happen every single season. Supply chains are buckling under the strain of continuous crop failures. Coastal cities are having to spend billions in taxpayer money just to build seawalls against an ocean that simply refuses to stop rising. But beyond the physical infrastructure, there is another profound impact here, one that doesn't exactly show up on a thermometer. Eco-anxiety, the psychological toll of an inherited crisis. It's the subconscious ambient weight of an expiration date. An entire generation is growing up with this profound exhaustion. It is the psychological weight of inheriting a burning house and being handed the responsibility to put it out. Previous generations endlessly debate the cost of the water. It's deeply unfair, quiet truth. Sitting in the dark and mourning a lost future will simply not save it.
If we stay on business as usual, I think for even another decade or so, then we are likely to get warming this century of several degrees Fahrenheit, and that would be really a different planet. That would be the warmest that it has been since the Middle Pliocene. That's about 3 million years ago. And at that time, there was no ice in the Arctic during the summer and fall. And sea level was about 25 meters, which is about 80 feet, higher than it is now. So that is a very different planet. About 500 million people who live near the coastlines, which would be underwater if we got a sea level rise of 80 feet.
How to rewrite the ending, because we really can no longer afford the luxury of despair. The transition isn't just possible, it has actually already begun. We are shifting away from the investigative history of the problem and moving directly into actionable structural change. Step 1 is the electrification of everything. Step 2 is applying relentless systemic pressure. Let's break these down so we understand the exact mechanisms at play. The reality of Step 1 might actually surprise you if you've only followed the political debate. The technology to completely replace fossil fuels is no longer some futuristic sci-fi dream. It's cheaper, it's highly scalable, and it is ready right now. Solar and wind power are currently the absolute cheapest forms of new electricity generation across most of the globe, with costs just plummeting at a record pace over the last decade. We don't need to sit around and wait for some miracle invention to save us. We only need the aggressive, relentless deployment of the technology we already possess. So the crucial point is systemic pressure. Because, let's be real, this crisis will not be solved by simply remembering to recycle a plastic bottle. Compared to the massive scale of the issue, it's just a distraction. Real change means engineers actively building smarter grids. It means lawyers taking massive polluters to court. It means millions of people shifting their financial capital out of institutions that fund fossil fuel expansion. You vote with your ballot, yes, absolutely. But you also vote with your career, your money, and an absolute refusal to accept the status quo.
It's going to be approximately 107 degrees out. And I'm going to go and I'm going to make a really long speech just to show that I can do anything.
Dr. Hansen sat in that sweltering room in 1988 and laid out the mathematical truth. The warning was ignored because the future seemed too far away to matter to those in power. The data shows that the future is here. The generations before us broke the system. It is on us to build a new one. You have the data. You know the history. So how will you use this information to shape what comes next?